So I was seeing a lot of these videos talking about Jake Paul knocking out Mike Tyson, and I just want to go ahead and clear the air for those of you guys who didn't see the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight on Netflix or Amazon Prime last night. Nobody got knocked out, so I'm not going to spoil it for you guys who haven't seen the fight. I will say this, and this has a lot to do with the finances side of the game here, and a lot of folks are like, me included, a little bit disappointed in Mike Tyson for his performance. But at the end of the day, guys, Iron Mike Tyson is forever going to be a legend, regardless of how he performed last night. And it wasn't bad. I mean, the guy's 58 years old. Come on. I mean, he's almost 60. He's almost eligible for freaking Social Security, for God's sake, right? But Mike Tyson has suffered significantly financially. The man used to be, he used to be worth like $400 million or something crazy like that in his heyday. He had some struggles in his life, which is not different than anybody else's, right? But the thing is, between jail and, allegations and whatnot, but all that aside, I don't know him personally. I hope he, it doesn't get caught up in any of these Diddy parties. We all saw Mike Tyson before the fight. The dude got briefly interviewed before the Jake Paul fight, and as he walks off, you can see his butt cheeks hanging out the back. I was literally mortified by seeing that. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was horrible. All over Instagram, all over TikTok and YouTube and whatnot. But here's the thing. A lot of people were like, why did he do it? Well, I can think of a number of reasons why he did it. Number one, at the end of the fight, Mike Tyson was interviewed, and he was basically saying, hey, they asked him, did he feel like he performed his best? Did he feel like he satisfied the crowd? And he said he did perform his best. He said that he performed as well as he expected, and he didn't do it for anybody else but himself. And they also asked him, would Mike Tyson be back? Will Mike Tyson take up any future fights? And he said that he doesn't know. He might. He didn't close the chapter. He didn't close the book at all. Now, me personally, I think, Mike Tyson probably didn't want to say in front of everyone that was his last fight, because it might look like, hey, Jake Paul wore him out so bad that he's like, yo, that was it. But I don't think it was really about that. Now, let's just talk about the finances segment of this real quick. Jake Paul stood to make $40 million from this Netflix fight. Okay, so Jake Paul should be making $40 million from the Netflix fight alone. And Mike Tyson stands to make $20 million from this fight on Netflix that we saw last night. Now, you got to look at the fact that Mike Tyson, he was not in a very good financial position. Now, let Mike Tyson tell it. He says, well, when I was rich, I wasn't happy. People were constantly bothering me, and he said being broke again was one of the best things that had ever happened to him. Now, I've been poor, or I've never been poor. I've been broke. I've had money. I've been broke again, and then I got money again. I know what it's like on both sides of the spectrum. And I'll be honest with you, it's never better to be broke. It's never better to be broke. I don't give a shit what anybody says. So I don't know if it's being noble or whatever the case is. What I think is something that people should consider is what led to Mike Tyson and Jake Paul ultimately getting together and having this big fight. Now, keep in mind, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul were supposed to actually have this this fight back in July of 2024, this year. So, 5 months ago ish, and it didn't happen. And the funny thing is that this was one of the most talked about fights in the last 5 to 10 years. And you got to understand, Jake Paul is a YouTube sensation. I mean, you got Jake Paul, you got Mr. Beast. I mean, it hardly gets bigger than Jake Paul. So why do I bring this up? Well, Jake Paul was already making a ton of money. Jake Paul, compares himself to Drake and said something like, he's like, he's all about capital. It's like he left the caps lock on or something like that, right? And Jake Paul has been making YouTube money for a long time. Jake Paul has been making endorsement money, sponsorships, affiliate links. He's got his own product line. If you guys saw on the Netflix show, on the Netflix fight yesterday, last night, Jake Paul, this man, he was making money before he even got in the ring. He rolled up with products that he was endorsing. He had soda cans. I don't remember what the soda cans actually said. Might have been like Celsius or something on there. I don't remember what it said. You guys could let me know what it said on it. But the point is he was decked out with endorsements. Look at his clothing. He's being endorsed. Did you guys notice how after the fight he immediately sprayed his body with a body spray? Another endorsement. Every one of these endorsements knows that there's going to be millions of people watching the show, tens of millions of people watching the show on Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever other outlets may have actually been serving the content. Each of these endorsements likely paid Jake Paul, I would imagine, somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 figures, $1 million and up. Because this is a tremendous amount of spotlight on their brand, and they're not only getting in front of all these people, but they're attaching their brand to Jake Paul. Jake Paul rolled out in a lime green, neon green, whatever you want to call it, heavily modified truck, which was also, he's shouting out the company that did this customization. Kind of like, what was that show back in the day where they would like customize cars on MTV over in California? It's like Lowride or something. Anyway, so that company got shouted out. And these companies, these companies, they make a tremendous amount of money by selling their products, and they want more eyeballs, they want more customers. So they're willing to pay they're willing to pay to play. They're willing to pay to get that exposure. And this was arguably as big as a Super Bowl event. There were 80,000 people at the AT&T Arena in Arlington, Texas yesterday. 80,000 freaking people. That is a tremendous amount of people. I had no idea that stadium was that big. And it was a sold out event, okay? So, moving on, Mike Tyson, arguably, worth $500 million, almost $500 million back in his heyday. That's a good 15, 20 years ago. What? Might even be longer than that. I don't know the exact timeline, but it doesn't matter. The simple fact is that it doesn't matter how much you make. If you outspend your income, you will be broke. And like when it comes to income, it's kind of maybe a pool, or more probably a bathtub is a better example. If you don't put a stopper in there, it doesn't matter how much water flow you have going in there. It doesn't matter how you can turn the water faucets to the max, and you will always be able to drain faster than you can fill, assuming you don't have clogged pipes and stuff like that. So this is a great example of poor management, poor money management skills by Mike Tyson. There are plenty of people who have made it to retirement and have and there are plenty of people who made it to retirement and have been able to leave money for their heirs. In other words, their money outlasted them, and they didn't make anywhere near $400 million, right? So the point is there are people who have made far less than him and have lived very good lives, and yet had enough money to leave for to allow someone in their family, friend, charitable organization to receive an inheritance. So it stands to reason that the only reason why Mike Tyson was broke after making over $400 million is because poor management skills. And poor money management skills can be anything from, typically it's lifestyle. Lifestyle is probably one of the biggest financial drains on most people. The average broke person is typically broke because they have high lifestyle expenses. Driving a G-Wagon, G63 G-Wagon, $2,000-$3,000 car payments, making $20,000-$30,000 a month, making $20,000-$30,000 a month, and doesn't even have $2,000 to put together. This is one example of someone who I was actually watching a video of just yesterday. Called up a dealership trying to get out of their G-Wagon. They actually had 3 cars. They had a G-Wagon, they had a some other Mercedes, and another car. And one of them was a Porsche Macan. They had a $1,050 car payment on the Porsche Macan. I'll try to remember to leave a link for it. But basically, this guy had 3 cars. He said he would make 17 grand on a low month. If it's a bad month, he said on a good month, he makes about $25,000, right? So we just assume he makes, $25,000 a month, right? Now, most people would say, man, if I made that much money, I'd be rich, right? If you make $20,000 a month, think about it. Just do the math. 20 times 12 is, $240,000 a year. So you make $250,000 a year and you're broke. You can't even put $2,000 together, barely. Like, that's ridiculous. Why do you have 3 cars? Well, in this particular situation, this guy said, he was doing Toro at one point, but the cars, he's not doing it now, and he's still got the car payments and the lease payment. It's ridiculous, right? Cars are a huge depreciating asset. And unfortunately, most people they don't even realize what they're getting themselves into. So this is a smaller example of Mike Tyson. Here you had a guy who's making $20,000 a month. And most people can't even imagine making $20,000 a month, but it's doable. It's definitely doable. There's plenty of people doing it. But unfortunately, a lot of people can't even wrap their mind around that. And so, but still, this guy managed to outspend his income. When you only got $2 grand in savings and you're making 20 grand a month, you're a broke ass. Period and point blank. Poor money management skills. But this is what people do. People have a tendency to over-congratulate themselves. They act like their income will never, ever be less than what it is today. And it's an unfortunate situation a lot of people put themselves in. And I don't have any sympathy for them because I've done it. And it was because of, number one, naivety and just, YOLO. So I think what could have happened here with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul is that Mike Tyson was, he was not in a great financial situation. He's 58 years old. He may have said to himself, how do I get back into a better financial situation? Maybe I do one last fight. Maybe I take on one last fight. Jake Paul, he's been making a name for himself, massive YouTuber. He has billions of views. One of the most successful arguably one of the most successful YouTubers to ever do it, right? And so just imagine this. Imagine Jake Paul goes to Mike Tyson, or Mike Tyson goes to Jake Paul, and they say, hey, you know what? Let's create a fake beef. And start stirring up controversy, start stirring up interest, and building up this hype. And if we do it right, we can have a significant payoff at the end of the day, right? Now, Mike Tyson says, hey, this could work out well for me. I mean, hell, I need money. I'm up in age. I could take one fight and this could be a tremendous payoff, right? Now, I don't know what other endorsements Mike Tyson might have had. Maybe he had some other endorsements. I didn't really see any. Mike Tyson didn't come out nearly as flamboyant as Jake Paul did. He pretty much just came out with a black cutoff shirt. I couldn't identify really any brands that he was wearing. And, he had a massive entourage around him during the Netflix fight last night. But so here you have Mike Tyson, broke as a joke, gets with Jake Paul, and over the last couple of years builds up some hype. So now he builds his following. Mike Tyson never lost his brand though. Mike Tyson will always be Iron Mike Tyson, right? So as this multi-year hype was building, Mike Tyson, he is now able to make money on YouTube. Now, I don't know how much money Mike Tyson made on YouTube. I could figure it out. I understand how to look at Mike Tyson's views, analytics, and, figure out what the likely RPM or CPM that he was earning on his videos are, and do a quick calculation and figure out how much money he was making from YouTube, how much money YouTube paid him. But aside from YouTube revenue, that definitely did help Mike Tyson's income. Hopefully he's going to be a lot smarter with his money now. But think about it like this. This could literally have always been a part of the plan. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, building this mastermind of a strategy where these two individuals got together, created a fake beef, build up all this hype. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's making more money, getting more eyeballs. And Jake Paul, he's about that money, dog. He's about building that net worth of his. He doesn't care if he gets eyeballs from fans or haters. Eyeballs are eyeballs. And that's what a lot of haters don't understand. A lot of haters are broke. Most haters are broke. And the reason is, number one, they're spending so much of their time hating, and hating ain't paying. People will leave hater comments on monetized channel videos just spewing their hate. And it's like, number one, y'all don't even understand how the YouTube game works. You just boosted his engagement with your angry message, and half the time these creators leverage what the platform offers. One of the tools is you can hold comments. So you can basically create filters where certain keywords and or phrases end up getting held, and what you're saying as a hater may not ever be seen because it's blocked. And you can see it, but other people may never see it. It all depends on the creator and what settings that they've chosen. But the key is, the point behind what I'm trying to say here is that so many haters end up blocking themselves from wealth and income that they could have earned, but they can't earn it because they're so busy hating on other people and not getting paid for it. Meanwhile, helping the very person or group of people that they're hating on. It's so funny how it works. Anyway, so imagine this. November 15th, I think it was. I don't even know what today's date. I think it was November 15th where Jake Paul and Mike Tyson had the fight last night. But so imagine this. Jake Paul ends up winning the fight, and I gotta hand it to Jake Paul. I didn't even know who Jake Paul was. I have always heard his name. I've never watched any Jake Paul videos. I've never watched any Jake Paul YouTube videos, but he just kind of seemed like a goofy guy to me. But I will say this. I was listening to the fight commentators before the fight started, and I thought to myself, one of the comments that one of the guys had said was, this is a lose-lose fight for Jake Paul. In scenario one, the commentator said something to the effect of, if Jake Paul loses this fight, then he ends up losing the fight. Not only, so if he loses the fight, that's an L for Jake Paul. But two, he loses the fight to a 58-year-old man. Granted, it's Iron Mike Tyson, but still he's 58, right? So that's lose scenario number one. Lose scenario number two would be, if you beat Mike Tyson, if you knock Mike Tyson out, it's like, yeah, you knocked out Mike Tyson, but he's 58 years old. And now it's like, it's like, yeah, but you're 27. You didn't beat him in his heyday, So it's like, it was really like a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul when you looked at it like that. But the surprising outcome to me came when I watched Mike Tyson. I was a little bit disappointed, but it's like, he's 58 years old. But it's still, if you watch Michael Jordan in his heyday and you watch Michael Jordan today, they're two different people. They just can't do what they used to do. They're 2 to 3 times older than what they were in their heyday, and they haven't been training. But, as they say, father time is unbeaten. Father time is undisputed. It was a little bit sad to see Mike Tyson and his reflexes just significantly slower than what they used to be. I could tell that Jake Paul really could have dominated that fight, which he did, but he could have really effed up Mike Tyson, but he didn't. And I will say that Jake Paul earned a lot of respect from me because the way he handled that fight was, I think, the best way he could have handled it. He didn't destroy Mike Tyson like he could have, I think. He didn't hurt Mike Tyson like he could have. At the end of the fight, the judges determined that Jake Paul was the winner. And what Jake Paul said at the end really earned my respect because, Mike Tyson slapped him, leading up to the fight. And that could have all been a show as well, But Jake Paul had always looked up to Mike Tyson from when he was a kid. I believe that there was like some video or picture floating around the internet where Jake Paul's like 6 years old and he hugs Mike Tyson or grabs Mike Tyson or something like that. Simple fact of the matter is this. Jake Paul could have beaten Iron Mike Tyson and possibly even knocked him out. But he did not do that. And I think that this was like a highly respected move or play from Jake Paul, because that would be an embarrassment for Mike Tyson. And that would have definitely affected his legacy, even though we know what Mike Tyson was back in the day. You never want to see your hero like get decimated like that. So I definitely send big shout out to Jake Paul on that one for how he handled it. And as Mike Tyson and Jake Paul were being interviewed at the end of the fight, Jake Paul took the very humble route in terms of how he explained how the fight went. He gave a lot of credit to Mike Tyson, and it was the humility there that really shined through. And it made me look at Jake Paul less like this goofy dude who I never really knew anything about, and more like, damn, dude, that was pretty cool of you to respond that way. Now I understand, in an interview afterward, Jake Paul may have actually, said, more of what really happened. Maybe Mike Tyson's punches weren't as hard as other fighters, or whatever the case is. But the simple fact of the matter is that he didn't try to humiliate Mike Tyson during the fight or after the fight. So big shout out to him. Money side of the game, I think it was a smart financial move for Mike Tyson to, what was it, 10 rounds, 12 rounds at 2 minutes each. That was a quick $20 million payday and then some. I'm pretty sure he's got some expenses, business expenses associated with preparation, training, and overhead, federal IRS income taxes and whatnot. But aside from all that, this is a pretty big payday for Tyson, and likely, arguably, the biggest payday that Mike Tyson has had in the last 10, 15 years. So I think that this could literally have all been in the plan. This could have been one big plan from day one. Don King, back in the day, was a phenomenal hype man. He would create these, he would fill out arenas. And this was before YouTube. This was before internet. If you think back on how Don King operated back then, and I'm not a Don King historian or anything like that, but from the little that I know about Don King, he did a great job at building hype, building a story. And I think this is exactly what happened here. So whatever the case is, I would actually say that the fights that led up to the Mike Tyson fight were arguably way more entertaining than the actual Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. But I'm glad I got a chance to watch it. I hope you guys do get a chance to watch it. And if you did, let me know what you thought about it. If you haven't already, hit the like button for the video if you appreciate my reaction, my take on all of this. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already for more money-related content and just more from me, Ron Yates. Subscribe to the channel. See you guys next time.